Hello and welcome, I am Helle from Game for Life PG, and today I'm going to take a look at King of Monster Island, and this is a game for 1 to 5 players. It takes about 45 to 60 minutes to play and it's for the ages 10 plus. And this is a cooperative game, and if you are familiar with the King of Tokyo, King of New York, then this is kind of built upon that world, but this is a cooperative version. Instead of fighting against each other, we're going to fight together against a boss. And each player in this game, they're going to choose a monster like you do in King of Tokyo or King of New York. And then you're going to start with 10 in health and 0 fame. This is fame and not victory points in this version. And in this game, we need to defeat a boss in order to win the game. And there are 3 bosses in the game, and this is a Danish version, but I will explain it anyway to you, so I can still explain the game to you even though the text is in Danish. But we have a crystal dragon, we have a lava lord, and we have a lithosaur. And there are 2 sides to them. The red side is the more difficult side, and then you have a blue side that is the more easy side. And for your first game, it's recommended that you're going to start with the Crystal Dragon. And each of the dragons, or the bosses, they have some abilities. And depending on the fame, they have a starting ability. And then when they gain fame, they will get even better. They will have more things they can do, so they will be more difficult to defeat. And up here we can see how many dice you're going to start with. And the more dice, the more difficult it is going to be to defeat the boss. And this is how many health they're going to start with. So you have, if you're going to put them in the right order, you have 5 dice, 15 health, then 25 and 6, and 30 and 7 dice. And on the other side, they have the same ability, but they have more health and there are more dice. So on the other side, this one will start with 25 in health, and 30 and 35, and then 6, 7 and 8 dice. And for this one I've just chosen the easiest of the bosses. And if you're going to play your first game, then you're going to start with this side. And on this side it's a bit more difficult, but I have just chosen for the example to put it on this side then. So I have 6 dice instead of just 5. Okay, so in this video I'm going to explain a little bit about how the game is played, and then I will come with my impression of the game. And in order to win the game, we need to defeat this guy. We can lose the game if we get 3 crystals out here. We're going to build one of these, and we have to place them on one of these 2 spaces where we can build some helpers, some support. And if we have 3 of these built, then we're going to lose the game. So if we get 3 crystals, we have to build one of these, and then we're going to remove the crystals again. And then if we do this 3 times, we will lose the game. We can also lose the game. In this bag we have 30 minion tokens, and if we have to draw from the bag and there's no one left, then we will also lose the game. And there's one way more when we can lose the game. If one of the players gets down to 0 in health, so they have this one, and then on their next turn, if they haven't been healed and they are still down at this 0 in health, then you're also going to lose the game. So even though you get down to 0 in health, you can still have some of the other players that can come and heal you. Okay, so that is the conditions in the game, how you can win or lose the game. Each player, they're not going to start with one of these. There are 6 helpers in the game. So you have the army, you have the doctors, you have the media, and you have the mad scientists. Then you have the ninjas, and you have the ape monsters. These are helpers that can help us. As soon as we get our first fame, we're going to start with 0 in fame when we start, and we're going to start with 10 in health. And if we get our first fame, then we can choose one of these helpers. And the more fame we get, this more they can help us. So this is help that we can call to. And these already have fame, so I have chosen some for them. And how do we then play the game? At the start of the game, we're going to place our boss, and then each player is going to choose a space where they're going to place their monster. And after that, the boss is always going to have a turn first, and then one of the monsters is going to have their turn, and then the boss, and then a monster. And there is a player aid where you can see what the boss is going to do, what the boss's dice they will do, and also each monster, what they can do, and what each of the dice they mean. So there's a really helpful player aid. Of course, this one is in Danish, but I can explain it to you. First, I will just show you around. First, you're going to activate the boss. Then you're going to use all the available dice and put them into the volcano. After that, you're going to move the boss. And then you're going to activate all of the minions in the boss's zone. And then you're going to activate the dice. And with the die faces, if you have this eye, this means that you're going to draw more of these minions from the bag for each eye and place it in the space. If there is this crystal die, this one, then you have to build a crystal. And if you have this star, the boss is going to get a fame. And that is the way they're going to get up in their fame and get more abilities. So let's look at the boss's turn. So first they're going to give damage. They're actually going to look at their active space they have here. And this one says they have a sharp claw, and they will give 1 in damage to each monster with the most health in a zone or in zones adjacent to it. So it's going to look at this zone and this zone and this zone. So if this one was over here, and then one of these would get a damage, and it would be the one that has the most in health. Then we would look at, he has 6, he has 8, so that would be him that would get a damage. But he's the only one, so he will get 1 in damage. And there might be other abilities here that you're going to look at for the boss, but that's their active ability. And then they're going to take the dice, put them into the volcano. And we have now 3 dice here. So now he is going to move, and he's going to look at the spaces around him. One space where he's at, and this space, where are the most dice? And there are the same amount of dice. Then he's going to look at where are the most minions, and that's actually in the space where he's already at. So he's just going to stay put here because there is the most minions and the most dice. So in this case here, he's going to activate the minions, and this one is a soldier minion, and it will give a damage to everyone in its space. But there's no one in his space. If he had been up at 10 in fame, then these soldiers would also give a damage to monsters in adjacent spaces. So he will be there in a moment. And this one, the cannon, he is going to give 1 in damage to all monsters. Doesn't matter where you stand. So he is going to get a damage, and he is going to get a damage. So they're both going to get 1 in damage. And then he is going to activate the die, and he is going to gain 2 in fame. And this means that he is now up to, in this example, he is up to 11 fame. And that activated the next power, where soldiers, they are now going to give damage to adjacent spaces too, and not just the space they're in. And he started with 0 in fame and with 25 life. So I'm just in the middle of the game here, where I'm explaining it. And then we will remove the die, and we're going to throw that die on the next turn. And then, that was his turn, then it's our turn, it's the monster's turn. And let's say that it is this guy up here that is in turn. And he, on a player's turn, they will first hit 6 dice. Then they will do the actions with the dice. And then you may buy an event card. You can buy one of these cards over here. And you have some free actions where there are some helper tokens. And if you are in a space with a helper token, you can use the helper token, or you can activate it again. But you can only do it once, so you can't both use it and activate it. So it's one of the two. And then you can lock a die, or you can unlock a die. So he can take this die and use it, but you are not allowed to roll with the die. But first, let's take a look at their turn. He is going to take 6 dice and roll all 6 dice. And you can roll them up to 3 times. And on the die face, we have these syringes we can use to make these. We need to have 3 or 4 to have some of these tiles that can help us. This is 2 in damage if you have this one, so he definitely wants to have this one, and that is 2 in damage. And this one is that you can move a space, or it is 1 in damage. So we also want that one. Now we could see if we could get more of these syringes so we could make a support tile, but I think instead we will see if we could get more damage, and we can roll up to 3 times, and we can take 4 from the back from the dice as we wish. We could also get more fame, but I think we could maybe also need to heal a little. And then, yeah, that is all we got. So you can roll up to 3 times, and we can take this one if you want to, but it would give us 1. If you have these lightning, 1 would give you 1 energy, 2 would give 3, 3 would give us 6, 4, 10, and so on. So I might just leave this one here. If I had received more of these, I would have used it, but not here. Okay, so I think I will use, in this case, I can use a foot, and I can move 1 space into this space here. And then I have 2 of these. I can heal 2 times. So I will go up to 8 in health. And then I can now give 2, 4, 5 in damage. And I think I could also save a foot here. So I would have that for my next turn and then give 4 in damage. I actually think I might do that, so I have my foot for the next turn. So I will give 4 in damage. This one requires 1, 2, and then we can give 2 to the dragon. On this one, we have this shield, this dude here. If we are in a space with him, we have to defeat him first. And after we have defeated him, we have to defeat all of the minions before we can give damage to the boss. So we cannot give any damage to the boss unless we have defeated all of the minions in the space. So these 2, they only require 1 in damage, and then we can give him 2 in damage. So in this case, we will defeat these 2, and then we would give him 2 in damage, and he would go down to 16 in health. Just needed to get him down at 0 to kill him. But that can be difficult, because first you need to always defeat all of the minions at his space. And then you can hit at him. And this one requires 3 in damage to be killed. And that was our turn. Then we could use energy to buy cards out here if we had enough energy. And this is cards that can help us. Where this one, for example, an extra head, you can hit with an extra die on your turn. So on his turn, instead of just hitting with 6, he could hit with 7 dice. And that is actually how this game is going to work. And then it would be the boss turn, and then he would then first give a damage, and this one would get a damage, just for giving the example here. After that, he would roll this die, and it went into this space, but this time there's no minions over here, there's no minions here, there is 1 minion here, so he would move into this space. And then he would activate this minion, and he would then draw 2 minions from the bag. So first activating this one doesn't do anything, it's just a shield. But then you have to draw from the bag, and you're going to draw 2. And the ones you're drawing here, they're not getting activated now. So first activation, and then you are going to gain new from the bag. And then it would be this player's turn. And they would roll with 7 dice, and then try to defeat this guy. But there's already a 1 he could use in here, but this one would give 2 in damage. So he already would have 2 in damage in this space So he just needed a feat so he could move into the space and then hopefully roll some dice where he would get a lot of damage. But that is how this game is going to work. The boss is going to have their turn, and then one of the monsters is going to have their turn, and you're going in clockwise order for the monsters when they are having their turn. And you just need to defeat him. On these cards, when you start getting some of these cards, on some of them, there are some event cards on them. And if you get an event card, you have to do what it says on the event card. And for example, this one, the boss gets 5 in health, and all monsters in the boss zone takes 2 in damage. And then you're going to move the boss in one time in the clockwise order. So this is a bad card. So there are some bad event cards, and then there are also some good event cards. There are some green event cards where you receive as a group 5 fame, and then we have to move the boss one time in clockwise order. So there are some event cards here which you have to resolve when you draw them, and they just add more flavor to the game, I think. So that is roughly the rules for the game, and I personally think this is a super fun game to play, and I like the cooperative version. I like this one more than the normal King of Tokyo, where you're playing against each other. It's also fun, just fun, chaotic. But in this one, I prefer the cooperative version. I think there's a bit more added also with you, how you're going to defeat the monsters. You have to cooperate and help each other, and also make sure that you can divide the damage that is going to happen. You can, if you stand on the same space, if you are on the same space and you get hearts, then you can also heal your teammates. So in that way, you have to help each other, and also these helpers you're going to get. The first time you get fame, you have these helpers, and they can really help you, and you have to. You will get good at different things. Some that are good at healing, some that are good at getting stars, and there are some that are good. For example, also fighting. I really like also the ninjas. For when you have the ninjas, you have these. They require only 1 for you to defeat these instead of 3. So all of these different helpers, they are good at different things. So I like these that are added to the game, and also for what you're going for. If you are going to give damage, or you're going to maybe get up to the fame. So you have better abilities when you're going to fight against the monsters, the boss, or all the minions on the board too. And the component quality, the dice, everything is really a great they're really great components for this game. Also, this is really, it's so simple to put together. It doesn't take long, and the board is pretty too, I think. And the cards, good quality game they have made. And I really also like the insert. They have really thought about the insert here, and you can place all your dice and your tower and your board. Everything has a space on in the insert here where you can place it. So really thought and well produced game, and I think it's a fun game, and it's a game you can play with kids, family, and you're just going to help each other in the game. It is a simple game. It's easy to teach, easy to get to the table and play, and then I also think it's fun. But I also like to throw dice. I always like to throw dice, and I like the randomness that are with the dice. It's kind of like Yahtzee style, how you're going to roll the dice and choose what you're going to get. And then also you have the tower here, where you're going to put in these dice, and you never know where it's going to land, for where your dragon is going to move. And you always have where you're like, I don't want the die to go into this space, I want it to go to these spaces, but you don't know where they're going to land. You can control it a bit, and you can also, if you get this one fame, then you can get one fame, and you can also remove one die. So in that way you can kind of direct in which direction the monster might be going. So there's a lot of game in it if you're going to take you're going to get an extra fame if you use it, so you're going to get 2 fame instead of just 1. But then there's also going to be more dice for the boss to throw into the tower. And then it might be harder for you to control where he's going to move next. Because if you have this set up here, then we know that there's a good chance that he's going to move over here. We might not want to get too many dice over here, so if a die land on this space, then he would instead go in here and activate all of these guys. So there is some randomness, but there's also some decisions in if you're going to remove some of the dice or not. And of course, if you have these crystals, you might want to go and remove the crystals, because if he gets 3 of these, then you're going to lose the game. Yeah. And I like that you have the 3 different dragons, so you can make it even harder for yourself with these different dragons, and they have different abilities on them. And there's lots of cards you can buy here and get also to help you and vary it. The game will be different depending on the cards you get out here. So, and I've really enjoyed this game and like the different monsters, the different ability cards they have made. And you can see you could easily make some expansion for the game, so you could get more of the different bosses you can fight against, and also you could get more helpers with different abilities. And also the description they have made on these really helpful. So easy to get the game to the table and play the game and understand, because they have actually described everything on this player aid. So for me, this is definitely an enjoyable game to play, and I really also think this is a family-friendly game that you can enjoy yourself with your family, with kids, and also with gaming groups. And if you don't like randomness, if you don't like chunking dice, of course, then this game wouldn't be anything for you. But me personally, I love this type. I like throwing dice. And I am going to make a playthrough of the game with the Lava Lord. So if you want to see more about the game, I'm going to do it on the hardest level. I have played all the monsters, but I have defeated them all up to Lava Lord with the 7 dice. I have yet to play this side here, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a playthrough with 2 monsters, so you can go and watch this one and see how well I have done if you want to also see more of the gameplay of the. But this was my look at King of Monster Island, and I will say thank you for watching.